Hello YouTube, you guys already know what it is. We're back with another episode of the Footsie's Handbook review. Is it a review? Not really. We're kind of just going through it in Street Fighter 6. So yeah, let's get right to it. We're on chapter 7 here. We've been a long way. I see all these comments about how you guys are improving. I finally hit Diamond. I finally hit Masters. Beautiful. I love it. And we're only on chapter 7. Imagine how good you guys are going to be in like a month. Anyway, always be on the lookout for minor tricks which can help make you a little tougher to beat. For instance, knowing when to stand in neutral instead of crouching is a big one. That's something that a lot of people don't even think about, but yeah, we'll see just how useful it could be. It'll seem straightforward once you read it, but many players don't know about this and it's very useful. That's what I just said. I should have just read the whole thing. Okay, so this week's installment highlights assorted tricks of the trade which may help refine your game further. When combined with the basic tools outlined in previous chapters, your characters will become even more elusive at mid-range. Okay, element 19, whip a crouching light attack as bait, and then cancel its recovery into an evasive standing light attack. For most characters, the preferred ploy would be chaining crouch light kick into stand light punch because the crouch light kick's outstretched vulnerable area will be replaced by the relatively safe stand light punch hit box. Any low poke meant to punish the low short will pass harmlessly under a standing jab. Some games engines don't allow kicks to be chained to punches, in which case crouch light kick to stand light kick is the next best choice. Okay, so what's this talking about is that we talked about this before, where you kind of whiff a crouch light kick as bait, and it's essentially telling you to shift your hurt box into a move that kind of reaches high instead, you know? So I use this, and then Chun-Li might want to whiff punish it with crouch medium kick, but instead I immediately use a button that like I will reach over her crouch medium kick. Do you know what I mean? I think like worrying about the specific buttons mentioned, like crouch light kick into stand light punch, it's definitely useful, and I would recommend going into it. But I think the general thing you want to take from this is that it's like a good trick to whiff a very low recovery move and then use a move that will hit over what a counter poke might be. So like, let's say Chun-Li does this. If I'm looking for her crouch medium kick to whiff punish, and I'm standing at this range, right, where the crouch medium kick will just barely whiff, if I see that and I didn't realize it was a crouch light kick, right? When you're whiff punishing, you're just kind of reacting to twitches. That stand medium punch is gonna counter poke me, right? She could do that on purpose, right? So she whiffs. Oh, I got her, and then she hits me over it, right? Here's something. This actually happened to me against IDOM. I don't know if this is the exact sequence. But let me try to find the VOD. One sec. Okay, so this is a very old VOD, but I remember playing IDOM, and I remember specifically thinking that he did this a lot, where he would whiff a button that I thought was whiff punishable, but like it was a very quick one. And then I would try to whiff punish it, and I would get hit. So like, he whiffs the crouch medium punch, and I promise you what I actually pressed was crouch medium punch drive rush. Okay, but this is before the drive rush macro. I was learning stick still, or going back to stick, I mean. And I was just mashing forward, I guess. I don't know. I got a dash anyway. But either way, what he did here would have worked. So I'm gonna dash at him, but I promise you, it was crouching medium punch into drive rush. I just didn't have the macro yet. And so he used this as like bait, and then he used a very high hitting move instead, so that if I like reached into him, trying to whiff punish that crouch medium punch, I would have hit him. He would have hit me if I was too late on it, right? And then yeah, he gets a full punish. A very similar thing happens later. I realized that he's trying to do this, so I started using longer reaching pokes. Right, so here, watch. Okay, he whiffs this. I realize I can't whiff punish with like a small poke. He's gonna use another normal. So I use a further, and I get a counter hit, right? I got washed, by the way. So yeah, whiff moves that are hard to punish, and then use moves that kind of hit over it. That's the goal here. Element 20. Why am I on that one? Leverage the threat of an effective poke to secure an extra step forward, then use it to set up a throw mix-up. Watch shooting D follow a slow fireball into crouching medium kick range, and then hover there menacingly over that spot for a moment. Before advancing to land the throw, it worked because prior rounds had taught his opponent to respect his precision with crouching medium kick and fireball spacing. Of course, the direct counter to that maneuver is simply marching in without hesitation and throwing him first, as Anakin inadvertently demonstrates shortly thereafter. Let's take a look. Okay. So he stands here, and this is crouch medium kick range, right? Ken is worried. He doesn't want to get hit by a crouch medium kick. So he's just kind of blocking it out. He doesn't want to walk into it yet. Ryu just waits. Oh, Ken's not doing anything. Just walk forward. We talked about this in another thing as well. How to just like bait people that you can walk up forward and grab them. This is a very like specific setting, and that you're standing in a range that you know that they're looking for. And then yeah, the Ken reacts right away. Next time he does something similar, he just walks up and throws him. He doesn't care. He's like, you're not gonna crouch a medium kick me. I can walk forward. Very cool. So here's a clip of it that I saw the other day. A very similar concept from Joe Ume Rogan. So he's playing a tournament here against Brian F, right? But he's using I don't have the entire VOD, but he's using this crouch heavy punch a lot. Sometimes he would drive rush, sometimes he would EX sandblast. Kind of hard to deal with, right? So what happens next? He walks into that range, does it, walks into that range, and he just walks forward. Pretty simple idea where you walk into a range where you've established that you have like a kind of safe poke string that's probably not that easy to deal with, and you notice the person's hesitating now. They're just waiting for the poke, especially when they're cornered. They cannot walk back to avoid the poke. Walk up and throw them. Easy enough. Okay, element 21. After blocking a long range jump attack, try walking backward instead of low blocking. If you expect your opponent to attempt anything fancy, for example, if Ryu tries to catch Guile with a delayed sweep, Guile can walk out of range to make it whiff. Obviously, this tactic should be used sparingly because it would make an awful primarily strategy. However, it's a great way for solo defensive characters to frustrate opponents who already have trouble finding a way inside. Blocking backward before blocking the jump attack also helps mess with their spacing. So let's take a look. This is very good in Street Fighter 6, by the way. I'll show you why. Yeah, so... Okay, so he blocks this. He starts walking back. Ryu walks forward even a bit and sweeps him. Obviously, this is not something you do in Street Fighter 6, but... And he gets the whiff punish. So in Street Fighter 6, obviously people aren't going to walk up and sweep you because sweeps are very, very minus in this game. But people might do this. You might notice this all the time. So in Street Fighter 6, what you might notice instead that people do a lot is something like this. Right? So you block this and you start walking back. And she can't, I mean, depends how, if I block it and we land right in front of her, she'll just be so plus that she can do this, right? But if there's a bit of space between us, I could walk back a bit. Like here, there's a bit of space between us because she didn't hit me right point blank and it worked. Another reason this is good is because let's say she did this instead. Right? People do this all the time as well. Walking back also beats this. And they'll just miss their grab when you whiff punish it. The reason this is good in Street Fighter 6 is that a lot of people do not use crouching moves on block unless you show them they have to. This is like, I've been playing very good players and masters, and you know, they're more likely to do something like this because this moves plus on block, right? Or a jab because it's quick. It's very quick, it's hard to react to if they're gonna tick throw me. If Chun notices I'm walking back, she can start doing this instead, right? She can do a light first, a light low kick into jab, into drive rush, whatever. But until I show her, a lot of characters do not do this. They'll default to jabs, they'll default to their plus on block medium punches. So walking back on defense is just very strong in general in Street Fighter 6 until someone teaches you that you can't, okay? That's kind of the whole thing. Don't just do it with your brain off all the time. Once people show you that, you know, they're willing to, even if they might just do jab into medium kick. And that's by no means of the imagination, I don't know, I just butchered that saying, a true block string or anything. You can mash out of that. But if you're walking back all the time, that medium kick will catch you and then she'll drive rush. But if you notice she's doing that to catch your walk back, now you can mash, right? So let's just see a quick rock, paper, scissors. This might happen in a real game, right? She jumps at me, she does this. Okay? So what do? I walk back. She notices I'm walking back now, does this instead. Okay, so I'm gonna walk back. He catches me with that. I get big hit, big corner carry, that's not good. So now she does it again. I notice she doing that. She knows I'm gonna walk back. What do? Well, jab into medium kick is not true. We get our own counter hit, right? And you know, obviously you should find, if you're gonna mash on defense, by the way, make sure you actually have counter hit combos. Like, don't just jab like that. Find out what your character actually gets off these counter hits, right? If you're already gonna mash, then you might as well, you know, get some damage out of it. But yeah, anyway, so I hope you got the mind game there about walking back on defense. Hopefully you actually learn something about being the person on offense if people walk back against you, what your options are, and then kind of the mind games that will go on there. Element 22, make your opponent block your poke at the exact distance so that their counter poke will barely whiff from where they end up. If you poke from too far away, they won't want to push a button. The closer you get to that perfect distance where the counter poke misses by a pixel, the more enticing that button will seem in their eyes. Doing this well hinges on one crucial secret principle. In most fighting games, crouching makes your character bigger and blocking makes your character bigger. Don't crouch and don't block. Yeah, so essentially what this means is that it's like a spacing trap we talked about in the past. But a big thing is that your hurt box when you're crouching is bigger than your hurt box when you're standing. So when you're trying to spacing trap someone, don't crouch block in between. Just be confident in your spacing if you have actually like labbed the matchup. So let's look at an example here, right? Okay, so take a look at this. I'm gonna make Chun-Li just do this. I'm gonna crouch block. See what happens here. She blocks my crouch medium punch, right? Let's say she didn't crouch block. I think, I just made this up honestly, but let's say, I'm pretty sure she did this instead. She counter pokes me, right? So you end a string in a very particular space where it seems like they can take their turn, right? So this is technically in Cammy's crouch medium punch range, right? If she crouch blocks. So it'll make Cammy want to press that button, right? Maybe she presses jabs or lights anyway, but this should still work in that sense. I don't know why you would press jab here. You're obviously not going to reach. So she's making me want to press this because it looks like it's a range. Her string ended on a range where that should hit, but it only hits or it only forces her to block if she crouches. So by finding very particular like space, this is a spacing trap. We talked about it earlier in the series, but by combining it with the idea of like finding very, very particular ranges, this is something like you get very good at. You want to lab a specific matchup. Let's say you lab against like Luke and you notice Luke always wants to counter poke with his crouch medium punch. You find a range that like perfectly spaces you outside of it and you do a string like this, right? For Chun, it was what, jab, jab, medium punch, and you wait for them to mash, you counter poke, right? They're very similar to the spacing traps we talked about in an earlier episode, but with the added nuance that, you know, blocking changes a lot of, or crouch blocking changes how this interacts. Let's take a look at how it looks here. Yeah, so it's exactly almost the same idea. She uses her forward medium punch as well. Right, uses her stand medium punch. If she was to crouch block, Akuma's crouch medium kick would have hit her, but it missed and she got a counter poke, right? Let's watch that one more time, very slow. So watch this. Doesn't crouch block, stands, walks back a little bit, whiff punishes. Right, very similar concept to what we just talked about. You use a very particular move. Like for Chun, her crouch medium punch is just good at this in general, or her stand medium punch, sorry. Because it pushes back and like, it's only -3, which is, it makes the enemy think it's their turn because it's -3, but it pushes them back quite a bit where you'll never get a move that actually reaches her. So like people might press like crouch medium kick from this range and then she just does it back, right? She does this, waits for your crouch medium kick, offers her drive rush. So yeah, hope that makes sense. If anything I could have explained a bit better there, let me know. But let's finish it up. Such specialized tricks may not factor into every match you play, but there are literally hundreds of them, if not thousands. Every minor advantage counts towards giving you an edge over the competition. Playing footsies against someone means putting up everything you've got against everything they know. Everything counts. Yeah. So I love this. These aren't things that you're gonna just use all the time. I mean, some of them you might use more than others, like the spacing traps, for sure you might use that. I mean, if someone knows the matchup very well, they might not fall for them, so then you have to stop, obviously. Walking back, I think in Street Fighter 6 is something you should use a lot until people tell you that they can't in game, obviously. Now, they're not going to tell you in person. That'd be pretty funny. But yeah, hope you learned something from this episode. I would appreciate a like and a subscription if you did. Let me know in the comments of anything I can clear up more, if there's anything else you'd like me to cover. And stay beautiful, everyone. I'll see you soon.